Hey, what's up, guys? Carl Count back in the video, and today I'm going to do my What If series. What if Naruto was a girl? Part 19. So, in the last part, in part 18, there we did see mostly Naruto was mostly training there, how to do the Rasen Shuriken training there. She was mostly trying to get that down there, like Naruto did in the original series. Technically, we do see uh, Team 10 there going after Kakazu, and uh, we did see Team 10 going after Kakazu and Hedon there. And technically, they mostly were saying they're trying to go after the Ninetales there. We're gonna like they're gonna mostly saying they're gonna tie Narco up there and drag her back there and stuff. Technically, Asuma there dies, like in the original Narco. They found the news Asuma died. Narco defeated Kakazu there. Shikamaru defeated Didon or whatever. She used her Rasen Shuriken there to blast him away. Right after that, they're mostly going after. Mostly they're trying to retrieve Sasuke there. That that might actually that was kind of a little bit playing out the same there. Technically, Itachi was running into Naruto there, saying about there. She said she loved him there, and also she was kind of like a sister to him. And Itachi gave her his powers there, and mostly gave Naruto the powers there, mostly putting the crow in her mouth, and mostly she's like, and stuff like, she's like, what the heck and stuff like that, and he's like, I'm giving you my power, and technically Itachi, it mostly plays out the same. Jiraiya falls in battle, and that's where the part 18 ends. So let's go into part 19. What if Naruto was a girl? So the day when they were hearing the news when Jiraiya fell. So mostly Naruto's mostly laying in her bed there. She's like, oh man, what? She was like thinking about how to bring Sasuke back there. What Itachi was telling her. He's like, and stuff. And then mostly Akashi comes. She's like he does like in the original series. He comes and he's like, technically he's like Naruto, a lady Hokage summoning you. She's like, wait, why? Why did she summon me and stuff like that? So they go to the Hokage monument, and they're like, she looks up. She's like, wait, Chief Toad, what are you doing here, there? And mostly Chuto's like, well, you don't know too much, and then mostly Kamachi, he's like, don't upset the poor girl. She's like, wait, upset me, what, and stuff. So then she mostly goes in, and everybody's like right there, like it does in the original series. Um, Haku, he's like, well, I have some breaking news there. Jiraiya boy, he failed in battle there, and then mostly she's like, no, he didn't. There, Narco there is feeling this emotion there. Technically, Naruto there and Naruto are technically like how Naruto kind of felt in the original series. That's what Naruto actually feels now, but she is more emotional because she actually is a girl or Naruto is actually a girl in this one, so she is actually more emotional. She's like, no, the Parvati Sage, he can't be dead there. Why and stuff like that because, and and she's like, I can't believe it, and she's like, she was mostly more tearing up there and stuff, and then mostly Sakura was mostly tearing up. She's like, it's okay, Naruto. She's like, no, it's not. Why you let him go, Lady Granny there? Why you let him go there? And then he's like, mostly mostly Sakura's like, wait, Naruto, don't do this there. She's fun. And then mostly Tsunade's like, she's like, stop, Sakura, and stuff. And she's like, wait, Tsunade. And then mostly she's like, I can't believe this stuff. And then mostly Naruto runs out of the thing there. They're like, no, Naruto, no, come back and stuff. And then Fugaku there kind of was actually saying, he's like, well, this is kind of upsetting there what Naruto girl is actually going through right now and stuff. And then he's like, right, we need to do it. He's like, well, yeah, Dry Boy actually gave me a message there. So they totally show the message like it does in the original series. I think that still plays out the same. Naruto there mostly figuring it out. She is more heartbroken there because technically Jiraiya was technically a father figure to Naruto, but also technically he was actually a father figure to Naruto in this version. He's technically a father figure to her. She's just technically just lost a big part of her life there, and that kind of does kind of suck there, and the grand scenes and stuff there. So Naruto's technically walking around the village there, all mopey. She's like, and then she mostly like remember the time with Jiraiya actually, you know, did with her and stuff like that. Mostly, training her and stuff like that. Mostly she was mostly sitting down on the park bench there. She was mostly breaking down. She was mostly breaking down, like not like what Naruto did in the original series, because Naruto was actually breaking down in the original series there, but technically she was more emotional there, because once again, Naruto is a girl in this version, so he's more emotional, or she's more emotional in this version, and Naruto was in the original. So technically, Aruka comes over, pops up the popsicles there, and then she's like, and he's like, I'm sorry, Naruto, he was a great teacher there, and stuff, and then she's like, I know and stuff, but everything's always bad happens to me there, and then he's like, it's like it's not your fault there. She's like, yeah, this is my fault. If Tsunade, if you actually, if anybody actually helped him there, he still should have been alive there and stuff. I can't believe he's gone there. The Pervy Sage is gone. How and stuff like that. And so technically, it took a couple days there. Shikamaru was mostly showing Naruto there, showing how Kurenai was mostly pregnant with Mirai there. So, and then mostly he was mostly saying about the daughter. That's the mostly Shikamaru was actually saying something about like that's going to be a student there. Mirai is going to be possibly a student in the near future there. That's what he was actually saying to Naruto there. So technically, how they're mostly gonna train. So Naruto there actually goes to Mount Byoko there. She's like, all right, guys, I'm off there, and he's like, well, and then mostly the old Cage Toad. He's like, you're ready to go, Naruto girl, and stuff like that. And then they're like, yeah, our Naruto girl, and stuff like that. And they're like, yeah, I'm ready and stuff. And then mostly they're like, Naruto, and then they're like, and mostly Sakura was mostly saying, good luck out there and stuff. You needed this. And she's like, oh yeah, thanks, Sakura and stuff. And then mostly they poofed away there. So the Toad training there plays out the same there. I think Naruto mostly does like Naruto does in the original series there. Mostly doing the meditation of how to do the Sage Mode there. So the Sage Mode training does the same there. I might see that there. There might be some pretty funny moments where technically they're like, oh, okay, let's go get something to eat there and stuff. I might still see that. And she's like, wait, what? Bugs? This is disgusting. What the? And so she's like, oh, well, this is no nutrition there. She's like, I'm not really that hungry now. He's like, come on, you need to eat there. She's like, oh, God. And stuff. And then I might see that happening there with the with the food there. She might say, oh, this is disgusting and stuff. And that's you might do that there and stuff. When Narco's suddenly training there, the Pain there mostly arrives to the village. He's like, "This is actually interesting. We need to go after the Nine Tails Chinchuriki there. She's mostly more powerful and stuff." And they're like, "Wait, how they're gonna uh, mostly do it?" And then he's like, "The Leaf Village actually has a barrier there, and mostly the barrier is really strong there. So technically, we need to, if we want to go after Narco Uzumaki, we need to penetrate it." How Itachi got in there. I think that played out the same, where they said something about it, and he's like, and he mostly they jump into the village there. They didn't know the detection, and then the attack started. So the Elite Village was getting attacked by the Akatsuki there. That still played out the same, and then Narco was actually saying there. He's like, or not Narco. Technically, Tsunadi's like, "Damn it, there." She's like, "Call in Narco there," and stuff. And then the Toad gets killed by Donzo. Donzo tells the elders there. And that still plays out the same. It still plays out the same. But, and then mostly when they're training there, mostly the missional frog there, mostly he's like, mostly he does the devastation, destroys the village. That still happens. So technically, Narco was actually saying, he's like, I mostly need training there and stuff. How do I need to do this there? And then most of the Missioner Toad comes in. He's like, breaking news. The Leaf Village is under attack. And she's like, wait, what? The Leaf Village is under attack? She's like, yeah, and stuff. So technically, they teleport back to the Leaf Village there, and mostly he's like, almighty push, and then mostly destroying the thing there, and then mostly Sakura's like, come back home. I need my friend there and stuff. Narco. And then mostly Narco pops up, and she's like mostly standing there. She's like, wait, what actually happened there? This is the Leaf Village? And then he's like, look there and stuff. So technically, Narco there does like Naruto does in the original. So she fights the Six Paths of Pain. She does mostly does her Sage mode there, and she's getting pushed there and stuff. And then mostly who jumps in the fray there? I'm gonna say Hinata still jumps in the fray, because I do not see Neji there. Or no, Hinata still jumps in the fray. She's like, I'm gonna protect you there. She's like, you're one of my best friends, and I can't let one of my best friends die. And then mostly she does the Lion's Barrage, and then she's like, don't fight for me and stuff. She's like, I had to do this, Narco, and she's like, you're one of my best friends, and I can't let you die. And then mostly she does the Lion's Barrage, and then mostly, boom, hits him on the ground, and he's like, you need to end. And mostly Narco seeing this there, she mostly goes into Six Tail stage right away. She's like, bruh, and then mostly, he smashes him, and he's like, boom. And then Narco smashes Pain on the ground. He's like, you hate me now. I still like that line from Pain. You hate me now. And then she's like, rah! And then mostly she chases Pain there. Nagato's like, oh crap. He's like, wait, it's burning pretty hot. He's like, Narco, don't do this there and stuff. And then mostly Narco was getting chased there, and he mostly does the Planet Devastation. So mostly we do see the Ninetales. Mostly he's like, come on, little girl. He's like, get closer there. He's like, I will take your thing. I want you. And then mostly and then he mostly gets stopped. And he's like, and then mostly the Ninetales like, damn you, Fourth Hokage, and stuff like that. And then he's like, wait, the Fourth Hokage there? He's like, oh, there's my little. He's like, oh, hey there. he's like, damn you, fourth Hokage. He's like, mostly, let's just get out of here. It's mostly they teleport there, and suddenly she's like, wait, what is going on there and stuff, and then he's like, oh yeah, and then he's like, you know this there and stuff like that. Yeah. I mostly what actually happened 16 years ago and stuff. I mostly saw the Nine Tails inside of you. She's like, why you did that, fourth Okage, and stuff. And then mostly Narco was actually saying, she's like, well, you're my daughter there, and then Narco's like, wait, what and stuff. And she's like, and she's like, boom, punches Nemato in the gut. She's like, why you did this, Dad? Why you did this? Why you put this piece in your own daughter there and stuff. She's like, why you put this piece in your own daughter there? He's like, yeah. He's like, well, technically, he was actually explaining what actually happened that 16 years ago and why he actually did put the Nine Tails in her. That plays out the same. I think he's kind of mostly explains that. There, and he's like, well, I can seal this time, and then mostly she's like, and so he's like, good luck there, and then mostly, and then she was mostly going after Pain there. She's like, and she's like, and then so she was getting pushed back. She's like, let's do this final blow. Rasengan, boom. Hits Pain, the Diva path there. Diva path goes down, and then mostly she gets stabbed by the rod there. Naruto gets stabbed by the rod. She was going after Pain there. They're mostly trying to stop her. That still happens. Mostly explaining this to Pain there about like what actually with Jiraiya and all that stuff. I think that plays out the same. She's like, "Why you did this there?" And she's like, there she is. The Nine Tails, get her. And then mostly and she's like, and then most of the Kurama eyes were mostly seeing it there. And she's like, God dang. She's like, mostly this is mostly powerful and stuff. We need to do something about it. So technically. He's like, well, we need to do something about this. He's like, mostly offend me and stuff. She's like, why you did this? Why you mostly kill my friends and stuff? That still happens. I might see that there. Mostly, she was mostly talking to it. Naruto was mostly talking to Pain there. Nagato mostly did the heaven there. I might see that still happen there. Mostly reviving everybody in the village. Naruto goes home there. They're known as her as a hero, and that's where the what if ends. So, yep. Comment, rate, my response to bros. We like love bros. Please subscribe for the notification from the in our live streams. The next one is the Rove arc. Comment, rate, my response to bros. We like her out. Out of your peace.